The human stood, placing himself between her and the angry crowd. His voice was steady, unshaken. "If you call this treasure ugly, then you do not know what beauty is. If you think she is a curse, then I will take the curse gladly." The aliens shouted louder, their voices like thunder. The elders whispered to each other, unsettled and confused. No one had expected this. No one had believed the human would accept the gift. The girl's heart pounded in her chest. Her whole body was trembling, not from fear now, but from something new, hope. And then, as the storm outside began to rise, as the winds howled against the walls, the human reached for her hand. His grip was firm, steady, unafraid. The hall fell silent once more, watching in disbelief. That was the moment everything changed. The storm outside raged through the alien sky, but inside the hall, it was even more violent. Shouts, anger, disbelief. The human had taken the girl's hand. That small act was louder than thunder. Every alien eye burned with rage or fear, but he did not let go. The girl's hand trembled in his, weak and cold, as if she had never been touched with kindness before. Her scars glowed faintly under the dim lights, marks that twisted like strange symbols across her skin. She lowered her head again, unable to believe that he had called her beautiful. She was waiting for the moment he would change his mind. She was waiting for the laughter, the rejection, but his grip did not loosen. The elder raised his voice, cutting through the chaos. "Do you even know her name, human? Do you know who you defend?" The human turned to the elder, his jaw firm. "Then tell me, what is her name?" The elder laughed bitterly, and the crowd joined him. "She has no name," he said. "She is not worth one." The girl flinched at the words. She had lived her entire life without a name. To her people, she was a curse, a reminder of disaster. A name was honor, and she had none. She was a shadow, nothing more. The human looked at her again, his expression softening. He bent low so only she could hear, though the hall strained to catch his words. "If they will not give you a name," he whispered, "then I will." Her breath caught. Slowly she lifted her eyes to him. For the first time, she dared to look fully into the face of someone who did not hate her. He thought for a moment. Then he spoke clearly so that all could hear. "Hope, that is your name." The chamber fell silent again. The aliens muttered in confusion. They did not understand the word, the meaning. But the girl understood. Her lips parted and she whispered it to herself as if afraid it would vanish. Hope. Her whole body shook. She had been nameless all her life, and in one moment, a stranger had given her a gift greater than gold. The elders scowled, furious. "You insult us with your weakness, human. That girl will bring ruin to you. Already she has killed our harvests, broken our machines, and cursed our skies." The human's voice was steady, sharp like steel. "You fear her because you do not understand her, but I see her scars differently. They are not curses, they are stories." The crowd laughed again, but uneasily. The storm outside cracked with lightning, shaking the walls. Some aliens cried out that the storm was her doing, proof of the curse. Others stared at her scars, seeing them in a new light for the first time. The girl felt the weight of all their eyes on her. Her knees grew weak. She wanted to hide, to run. Yet when she looked at the human, she saw no fear, only courage, and it gave her strength she had never known she had. The elder slammed his staff again. "Take her then. Take her far from here, but do not say we did not warn you. When she destroys you, remember this day." The human nodded. "Call. I'm uncertain." "Then I will remember it as the day I found beauty where you saw only shame." Gasps filled the hall. Some shouted curses at him. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The servants pulled back, fearful to even stand near the girl. But the human held her hand tighter, guiding her toward the doors. The storm outside screamed against the sky, lightning flashing like white fire. The girl hesitated at the threshold. Why do you not fear me?" she whispered. Her voice was small, almost lost in the storm. The human looked at her scars once more, tracing their strange patterns with his eyes. "Because I have scars too," he said softly, "and they did not make me less. They made me human." Her eyes filled with tears. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever compared themselves to her. For the first time in her life, she felt she was not alone. As they stepped out into the storm, the aliens watched from the shadows, whispering in fear and anger. Some believed the human was doomed. Others, though they would never admit it, wondered if he had seen something they had been too blind to see. The storm beat down on them, the wind tearing at their clothes, the rain stinging their faces. The girl shivered, not only from the cold but from the weight of something she had never carried before, hope. She looked at him once more, her voice trembling. "Do you really mean it? Do you really think I am beautiful?" He stopped walking. He turned to her, his face calm but firm. "I don't think it," he said. "I know it." The words struck her harder than the storm. She lowered her head, but this time not in shame. Her lips curved, just slightly, into something she had not felt in years, an almost smile. Behind them, the storm raged on. Ahead of them lay only the unknown. But for the first time in her life, the girl felt like she could walk forward, not as a curse, not as shame, but as hope. And somewhere in the shadows, unseen eyes followed them into the storm. The storm had not ended when the human and the girl stepped into the wild night. The wind howled, pulling at their clothes, and the rain fell in heavy sheets. The alien city behind them was lit by strange lights, glowing through the storm like angry eyes. But the human did not look back. His grip on the girl's hand was steady, guiding her through the chaos. The girl, now carrying the name Hope, stumbled as she tried to keep up. The mud clung to her feet, the water chilled her bones. She had never walked beside anyone who did not flinch away from her touch. Each step felt unreal, like a dream she might wake from at any moment. Yet the warmth of his hand told her this was no dream, but the whispers of her people still echoed in her mind. Curse, disaster, shame. The words were chains she had worn all her life. She wanted to believe him, wanted to believe she could be more than what they called her. But doubt weighed heavy in her chest, like a stone she could not drop. When they reached the edge of the city, the storm slowed. The human found shelter under a broken arch of ancient stone. They sat in the shadows, the sound of the rain like drums on the ground around them. For a long time, neither spoke. The girl hugged her arms tightly, afraid her scars were glowing again. Finally she whispered, "You should leave me." The human turned to her, his face calm but firm. "Why would I do that?" Her voice broke as she answered, "Because they were right. I bring disaster. The crops die when I touch the soil. The machines break when I pass. The storms follow me wherever I go. You saw it yourself. The storm rose the moment you touched my hand." The human studied her, silent for a moment. Then he shook his head slowly. "Storms come and go. They are not your fault. You are not a curse. You are a survivor." She turned her face away, tears mixing with the rain. "You don't understand. I was born with these scars. The day I came into the world, the sky burned red. The elders said I was a sign of doom. My mother, she tried to love me, but the others made her afraid. When I grew, I tried to help, but everything I touched turned to ruin. They said my blood itself was poison." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "They wanted to throw me into the sea, but the elders said no. They said my shame must live, so all would remember the price of weakness. That is why they gave me to you. They want me gone, but they also want you to suffer." The human listened to every word. His eyes did not flinch. His expression did not change. When she finished, he leaned closer and placed his hand gently on hers. "They fear what they don't understand. But I see something they do not. These scars of yours, they are not poison. They are patterns. And patterns mean something." She looked at him confused. "Patterns?" "Yes," he said. His voice was low, thoughtful. "Look at them. They are too precise to be random, too sharp to be meaningless. Maybe your people feared them because they could not read them. But fear is not truth." The girl blinked, stunned by his words. All her life, she had believed her scars were curses, ugly marks that doomed her. Yet here was someone who saw them as something more. Before she could reply, a sharp sound broke the moment. A crack of branches, heavy footsteps in the dark. The human rose at once, pulling her behind him. His eyes scanned the stormy night. Shadows moved beyond the rain. Figures, tall and armed, circled in silence. The girl's breath caught in her throat. "Raiders," she whispered. Her people's outcasts, hunters who lived in the wilds, feeding on fear. One stepped forward, his face covered in bone armor. He pointed at the girl and laughed, a cruel, sharp sound. "So the shame walks free, and with a fool human holding her hand. What luck!" The raiders surrounded them, their weapons glinting in the flashes of lightning. The leader sneered, "We will too. Ache her. She is worthless, but even curses fetch a price in the black markets." The girl froze, her body trembling. This was the fate she had always feared. She had no strength to fight. She was only a curse. But the human stepped forward, his shoulders squared, his eyes like fire. "You will not take her." The raiders laughed. "You? Alone? Against us?" The human did not answer with words. He tightened his grip on the girl's hand. His stance was clear. If they wanted her, they would have to go through him. The girl's heart pounded. Shame weighed heavy inside her. She wanted to scream, to beg him to run, to leave her so he might live. But when she saw his back, standing like a shield before her, something shifted inside. For the first time, she wondered if her scars were not chains, but keys. And as the raiders moved closer, the storm above cracked with a roar, as if the sky itself waited to see what she would choose. The rain poured like a curtain of silver, the storm flashing above the hills. The human stood tall, shielding the girl behind him as the raiders circled closer. Their weapons gleamed in the lightning. Their cruel laughter cut through the roar of the storm. The girl, Hope, shivered, her heart pounding. She wanted to pull away, to beg him to run, but he would not move. His feet pressed into the mud, unshaken, like a wall between her and the danger. He had no weapon, no armor, only his bare hands and his will. The raider leader stepped forward. His voice was sharp, his words heavy with mockery. "You protect her. You don't know what she is, human. She is filth. She is ruin. She is death." The human's voice was calm, steady, even in the storm. "No, she is hope." The raiders burst into laughter. They lunged, their blades flashing. The human fought with nothing but speed and courage, dodging strikes, pushing Hope out of reach. But there were too many. Blade scraped his arm, blood mixing with rain. Hope cried out. She felt the old chains of shame pulling tight again. "This is my fault. He will die because of me." Her scars burned, glowing faintly under her skin. Fear consumed her, until anger replaced it. In that moment, something broke free inside her, her scars lit like fire. A pulse of strange light exploded outward, throwing the raiders back into the mud. They screamed, blinded by the glow. The storm above cracked louder, as if answering her cry. She stood trembling, staring at her own hands. Power still shimmered across her skin. The raiders scrambled away, muttering of curses, fleeing into the night. The human turned, bloodied, but alive, his eyes wide with awe. Hope gasped. I did that?" The human nodded. "Yes, you did." Her chest rose and fell quickly, fear mixing with wonder. She whispered, "Then they were right. I am cursed." But the human stepped closer, his hand firm on her shoulder. "No, they were wrong. What you carry is not a curse. It is power, and power can destroy, or it can protect. Tonight, it protected." Tears filled her eyes, but this time, they were not only tears of fear. For the first time, she felt the weight of her scars shift. They were not only shame, they could be something else. The storm slowly faded. The rain eased into a soft drizzle. Together, they left the ruined path behind, walking into the dark wilderness. Days passed. They traveled through forests of towering crystal trees, across plains where the grass shimmered with light, and into valleys carved with rivers that sang like voices. At night, they sat by small fires. Hope often stared at the flames, her fingers tracing her scars. "Why do you stay with me?" she asked again and again. Each time the human answered the same, "Because you are worth it." One night, when the stars stretched endless above them, she asked another question. "Do you ever miss your world, your people?" The human's eyes softened. "Yes," he said, "I miss them very day. But I also remember what they taught me. On my world, scars are not shame. Scars mean you lived through pain. Scars mean you survived." Hope turned the words over in her mind. Survived. Lived. She had never thought of herself that way. For so long, she had been only the burden, the curse. Now she began to see herself through his eyes. Different, but not broken. Yet danger was never far. Sometimes, in the distance, she saw movement. Shadows following them, watching. Raiders were not the only ones who wanted her gone. Her own people feared she might return. She could feel their hatred chasing her like a cold wind. Still, she walked. For the first time in her life, she wanted to see what lay beyond the next hill, the next river. The human's presence gave her courage. One evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Hope asked softly, "Why do you not fear me, even now? You saw what I did. You saw the power inside me." The human smiled faintly. "Because fear is easy, but trust is stronger." Hope's chest ached at the words. She had never been trusted before. No one had ever looked at her scars and seen more than ruin. And yet this human did. She whispered, "If I hurt you one day, what then?" He did not look away. "Then I will still call you Hope." The words burned into her heart, stronger than any chain of shame. That night, as she closed her eyes under the alien stars, she felt something she had never dared to feel before. Not fear, not despair, but belonging. Yet, far away in the darkness, the unseen eyes still followed, waiting for the right moment. Their journey had only begun, and danger was closer than either of them knew. The forest burned with shadows as the human and Hope pressed forward. Days of travel had carried them deeper into the wild, far from the city that had cast her away. The nights had grown quieter, almost too quiet, as the world itself was holding its breath. The human felt it in his bones, danger was close. Hope felt it too. Every time she touched her scars, the lines pulsed faintly with strange light. They warned her, whispered to her, but she could not yet understand their meaning. She walked in silence, the weight of fear pressing on her heart. She wanted to be brave, to prove she was not the curse her people believed, but doubt still clung to her like smoke. It was at dusk, when the sky was painted in fire and ash, that the raiders struck. They came from the trees like wolves, silent until their weapons gleamed in the fading light. Dozens of them, armored in bone and steel, their faces painted with war marks. The leader's voice was sharp and cruel. "The shame child walks again, and the fool human still protects her. Hand her over, and we may let you live." The human stood tall, his body weary but unbroken. He stepped in front of Hope once more, the way he always did, shielding her with his own frame. His voice was steady. "You will not have her." The raiders laughed. Their blades clanged against each other, sparks flying. The leader sneered, "Then you will burn with her." They rushed forward. The forest exploded with violence. The human fought with everything he had. He caught one raider's blade with his arm, twisting it away before striking with his fist. Another raider lunged, but the human slammed his shoulder into him, throwing him into the dirt. His movements were fast, precise, desperate. But there were too many. A blade cut across his side, blood soaking his shirt. He staggered, but did not fall. Another strike grazed his head, making him stumble. Still he rose, still he fought, refusing to let them reach her. Hope's breath came fast, her chest tight with terror. She wanted to scream, to run, but her legs would not move. She watched as the human stood against the storm of enemies, bleeding, breaking, but unyielding. And then it happened. A raider slip sped past him, rushing at Hope with a curved blade raised high. She froze, fear locking her in place. The blade came down, but the human threw himself between them. Steel bit into his arm, tearing flesh. He grunted in pain but held the raider back with sheer strength. "Run!" he shouted. Hope's eyes filled with tears. Her body shook as she whispered, "No, not again. I will not let you die for me." Something inside her snapped. The scars across her arms and face blazed with light brighter than fire. A wave of energy burst from her body, throwing the raider back. The ground trembled, trees groaned, and the air crackled with power. The raiders staggered, fear flashing in their eyes. Some tried to stand firm, shouting that she was cursed, but their voices shook. Hope stepped forward, her scars glowing like molten lines. For the first time, she did not hide them. Her voice rose, trembling but fierce. "I am not your curse!" Another burst of power erupted, hurling raiders into the dirt. Weapons shattered in their hands. The storm above broke open with thunder, as if the sky itself answered her cry. The raiders panicked. Some fled into the trees, others fell to their knees, covering their eyes from the glow. The leader snarled, but even he staggered back, fear etched on his face. Hope stood tall, her breath heavy, her body trembling with the force flowing through her. She looked at her hands, glowing with strange fire. I saved him." The human, bloodied but alive, leaned against a tree, staring at her with awe. "Yes," he said softly, "you did." Her chest ached, but not from shame. For the first time she felt something different. The power inside her was not ruin. It was protection. It was strength. The raider leader spat into the dirt. "You think this power makes you free? No, it will make you hunted. Your people will never accept you, and others will call me for you." His eyes flicked to the human, "and they will kill him first." He vanished into the shadows, his words hanging like poison in the air. The forest grew quiet once more, broken only by the crackle of fading lightning. Hope rushed to the human's side, her hands trembling as she tried to steady him. His face was pale, blood staining his clothes. Tears filled her eyes. "I hurt them." I could have hurt you too. But he shook his head, even through pain. No, you saved me, and you saved yourself. That is what matters. Her heart broke and healed in the same moment. She pressed her forehead to his shoulder, whispering, "Then maybe I am not a curse after all." The human's hand, weak but warm, rested on hers. His voice was faint but firm. "You are not a curse, Hope. You are the fire they fear, and one day you will show them what that fire truly means." She held him close as the night closed in, the forest silent after the storm of battle. The fire inside her scars still glowed faintly, no longer chains, but flames waiting to burn brighter. But far away, in the hidden corners of the galaxy, those words of the Raider leader rang true. Others had seen her light, others would come, and the real trial had only just begun. The forest was quiet after the battle, but the silence felt heavy, almost alive. Hope sat close to the human, tending to his wounds with shaking hands. His arm was torn, his side bloodied, but he did not complain. Every time she touched him, fear stabbed her heart, fear that her power might harm him instead of heal. Yet he never pulled away. His eyes, tired but steady, always met hers with trust. "You saved me," he whispered. Hope lowered her head. "I almost lost control. What if one day I do?" The human smiled faintly, though pain shadowed his face. "Then I'll remind you who you are. Not a curse, not a monster. Hope." His words wrapped around her like a shield, stronger than any wall. For the first time, she began to wonder if her scars had meaning beyond pain. That night, when the human slept by the fading fire, Hope studied her scars carefully. She traced the glowing lines along her arms and face. They were not random. They curved and crossed in strange shapes, some forming patterns like stars. She tilted her hand, noticing how the scars seemed to match the night sky above. Her breath caught. The stars moved in lines, just like her scars. When morning came, she told the human what she had seen. At first he was silent, then his eyes lit with realization. "You're right," he said. "These are not just scars. They are maps." Hope frowned. Maps? But to where? The human pulled a small device from his pack, projecting a star chart into the air. He compared it with her scars, tracing the glowing lines. Piece by piece, the patterns aligned. Her scars marked paths across the galaxy, hidden routes lost for centuries. "It's a star code," he said slowly. "Your body carries a map no one else has. That's why they feared you. Not because you were cursed, but because you were different. And different is always dangerous to those who do not understand it." Hope's heart raced. A map inside me? But why? The human's voice grew quiet. "Someone put it there. Or perhaps your kind were born with it. Maybe your people forgot the truth and turned fear into legend. Instead of treasure, they saw shame." Hope touched her scars again, tears filling her eyes. All her life she had believed she was nothing but ruin. Now the truth shimmered before her. She was not a curse. She was a key. But with truth came fear. If others discovered what she carried, they would hunt her, capture her, tear her apart for the secrets etched into her skin. The human seemed to read her thoughts. He placed his hand gently over hers. "We don't have to show anyone, not yet, but we can follow this map. We can find out where it leads." Her lips trembled. "And if it leads to more danger, then we face it together," he said simply. His certainty lit a fire in her chest. For the first time, she wanted to see what lay at the end of the path. Days turned into weeks as they followed the map in her skin, across deserts of shifting glass, through mountains that sang when the wind passed, and along oceans that glowed with living light. They traveled. Hope grew stronger with each step, her power more steady, her courage brighter. She no longer lowered her eyes when strangers stared. She walked with her head high, scars glowing faintly in the dark. But the journey was not hidden. Rumors spread like wildfire, of a human and a cursed girl who left storms in their wake, of a girl with glowing marks who shattered raiders with light. And in the shadowed halls of distant empires, powerful eyes turned toward them. Some saw danger, others saw opportunity, and all wanted the treasure the girl carried. One night, as they rested on the edge of a canyon, the human traced one of her glowing scars with his gaze. "Do you realize what this means? Your people thought you ugly, but you carry a gift no jewel can match. You carry the galaxy itself." Hope's breath shook. She looked at him, tears glimmering in her eyes. You gave me more than a name. You gave me back myself." The human smiled, though sadness flickered in his eyes. No, Hope. You gave yourself back. I only reminded you what was already there. The stars stretched endless above them, the same stars carved into her skin. She no longer feared their light. She no longer hid from her reflection. But as the canyon winds whispered, Hope felt a chill. The map in her scars had awakened. Others would come for it, and soon their journey would no longer be theirs alone. The truth was out there, waiting, and truth always demanded a price.